And our first segment, AFL, brought to you from a good mate, Davey Benson. Good bloke, Dave, too, by the way, Matty, and welcome, Matty Knight, King of the North.
How you going, mate?
Got a bit of a surprise for me. I hear you just sort of in the background there, just having a bit of a snigger about our AFL segment. Guess what's going on?
Well, mate, tonight we're going to talk all about yourself.
Really?
So
all about me?
Yeah, as the show is, all about you, Ando. So,
wow.
Mate, you know, it will tonight we're going to interview you. So we'll flip the coin on yourself.
Okay, I like it.
So, mate, talk us through early years. You were zoned to Woodville, but you've ended up at Port Adelaide. Talk us through that.
Yeah, well, we moved to West Lakes, and that in those days was the Woodville zone, and so I was sort of planning on playing under 15s with Woodville, and then I was actually, funny enough, I was about to sign a scholarship, and the zones changed, and all of a sudden I'm in Port zone, and the opportunity, arose that they said, look, we'd like to offer you a scholarship as well, and now you'll be one of our on our players list. So that was it was good. I was always a Port supporter. I was brought up at Cheltenham. My dad played probably 100 reserve games. I think he played one SNFL game for
so you beat him.
Port. I had him covered. My grandfather played Colts down at Port Adelaide. So the whole history for us was Port. We were Port mad as a family. So for them to say, look, you can't go to Woodville, you're zoned to Port Adelaide, I was probably pretty happy.
Pretty happy with that. Yeah. And just going back even further, I heard a story last week, school footy, just talk us through what the coach, some of the rules he used to have in place for you in terms of where you're allowed to run and on the field.
Well, I always thought I was allowed to run everywhere, but there was, he used to put cones out just about that I could only run between there and there. It was probably only about probably from the square, and that was really about it, because I was a bit of a hog. I must admit that. I thought I had a bit of speed and loved bouncing, and I thought most of my teammates were there to shepherd me. So anyway, they had to sort of work out a way of saying, well, Greg, it's funny enough, not all about you, and there's others out there trying to get a kick. So it was good fun. I was at St Michael's College. I absolutely loved it, and we actually went through a really successful first 18 with my father actually coaching. I had Wayne Marnie, Shane Peel, who played for West Torrens, and Paul Sinor, whose lad is out at the Eagles. We had a pretty good side. And
I heard, my source tells me that actually you ignored the coach's direction completely and still ran the field.
Yeah, it meant nothing to me. It meant nothing to me, no.
And mate, in your time at Port, how many flags were you involved with?
Yeah, I was lucky enough to play in 2 flags with the Magpies, and it was fantastic. We lost 84 against Nord, which a lot of people say was a great grand final in the era, and sort of went down by a few points. And I still remember Rocky Roberts. I'm pretty sure he ran over the Granger line, but the umpire said play on, and of course he kicked that goal and put him in front, and she was a pretty close one. It was a great game and great to be part of, but unfortunately, having many years later win a premiership is a lot better on the winning end, let me tell you. Yeah.
No, that's it, mate. And just from another source as well, the rumour has it that you've actually ended David Granger's career at Port Adelaide in a pre-season time trial.
Well, it's funny about that, because we're doing 400s, and what I was doing, because in those days I was young and fit. I was 16, and I was sort of coming out the back, and then just in the last sort of 100, I'd sort of try to take over the group and get in the top little finishes, and I hit the back straight, and I was starting to get the gallop going, and went to pass Granger, and he nearly broke my ankle when he kicked my ankle, and I went about four tumbles, nearly broke my neck, shoulder. And everyone sort of laughed, and of course this is Dave Granger. I'm a young kid. My first it was actually my first ever pre-season night. And so anyway, they called over Dave a bit later. Probably only about 10 minutes, and all of a sudden he's done he'd done a burnout in the car park, and he got sacked. But it wasn't because of me. It was because of the apparently he got reported the year earlier, and the club did say if he got reported again, that we're going to rule an iron fist and
they stuck by their word.
They stuck by their word. But yeah, for a moment there, I thought, oh, geez, I might have to catch a train home or get disguised to get out of this place. I thought, hang on, mate, was it because he tripped me up? But no. Yeah. It was, and he was one of my favourite players. Grave danger. Oh my God, he was number 18. Just great to be on the supporter side and just cheering him on. He was a really talented footballer. Great player for Port Adelaide.
Absolutely, mate. And Ando, obviously, with the show, we can't do it without the sponsors. MGA Insurance, for all your personal and commercial insurance needs, mate. Give them a call today for a quote, and you got Steve McInerney down there who'll help you out.
Yeah, no, good guys down there. They'll look after you.
So, no, beautiful, mate. And obviously, then from Port Adelaide, you've headed over to Essendon. What was that experience like?
It was. Yeah, it was. I was a bit in awe, really, in the way of sort of going there. I remember parking at the front of Windy Hill, and it's like the grandstand's 4 stories high, and I thought, oh my God, this is a beast. And there's Terry Danaher and Simon Madden and Tim Watson and Daisy Williams, Glenn Hawker, Paul Salmon, Mark Harvey. They were just household names, just rolling up the training. I think, wow, these are my new teammates.
Yeah.
And it was hard going. I mean, it was. Every guy was fit and just as strong, and you really had to work. Really, it brought the toughness out of you to win your spot.
Yeah.
And I think that was certainly the difference. It was a big business over there.
Yeah. So how old were you when you made the trip over?
I think it was 21, 22, and it was interesting. A lot of the players like your Kernhan Bradleys, Platten, Motleys, and Nayleys, and it was great. It was really successful in state footy, and it was a great era of footy. But we all seemed to go a little bit older. It was a lot tougher game back there. I'm not saying it's better or worse. But there were some really big bodies. You're playing on Dipper Domenico's and your Darren Mullanes and Doug Hawkins, and there were some really big guys out there. So and it was just week in, week out, relentless.
Yeah. And obviously over there you got to live with Gavin Wanganeen. What was that like?
Yeah, Gavin was a really, really close friend of mine, and coming from Port Adelaide, the club asked us whether we could billet Gavin, and we had a spare room, like a bit of a granny flat at the back of our place, and was just perfect. And we became really close friends, and he was just really starting to get his act together, playing for the Bombers, and wow, he was was really, really exciting player, and he's a really good guy. I'll never forget there was a time when we it was before a game, and I was just in a little corner. I was very quietly, like in the medical room, and he's like, Greg, are you there? And I said, oh yeah, Gavin. He goes, I just want to say, I've said a prayer for you. I said, oh, that's really nice of you, Gavin. Thank you, mate. That was the way he was brought up.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the next morning I knocked on his door, and we had a great win. It was a fantastic game. I knocked on the door. I said, well, Gavin, obviously you gave yourself a bigger prayer because you got best on ground, and I end up fourth or fifth. But he's a really, really great bloke.
And you touched on the Danaher brothers, mate. Just how tough of competitors were they?
Wow, I was lucky enough to play in that game against St Kilda at Moorabbin Oval when the four of the brothers were playing, and it was very emotional, like really emotional game. And we got out of the blocks, like Carl Lewis. We were never going to lose that game. We had a really big battle with them at Windy Hill in round one. Yep. And we actually thought, well, our backs are against it. We're at Moorabbin, and we just played superb footy, and everything was just for the Danaher fan, it was like a fairy tale. All the Danahers played well. We had a great win, and it was. I think it was the last round of the year too. I think it was like round 22. So we went on to play the finals, and I think Neil didn't get picked in the next game, but what a brilliant achievement by the Danaher family.
Fantastic to be a part of, and you've obviously played or been involved with 3 clubs, with Port, obviously before being in the AFL, and Crows, and the Bombers as well. At the moment, where does your allegiance lie?
Well, they both lost on the weekend, and the Bombers won. So maybe I'll go with the Bombers this week. I've been really lucky. I mean, it was really interesting with the Crows, because when I went to the Crows, it was one team, one town, and as much as people thought it must be like Hollywood, everyone's patting you on the back, you know, when things got tough, you know, we really had to support each other, and you know, we just. There were so many close friendships because of actually the tough times, more so than just the good times, especially when it was one team, one town. And, you know, I think we had a bit of a losing streak there for a while, might have been 3 or 4 losses in a row. And I just remember the advertisers just caning us. It was just ruthless and relentless. And I won't mention who the rider was, but I just thought it was really just disgraceful how he spoke about players that still gave 100%, but we just weren't gelling. We just were having a bad patch. And but the other side of the coin, we really grew some great friendships, and we needed to support each other. And you always got something special. You know, that was a really special part of the weren't winning. But we all know, you know, football brings friendships and camaraderie, and it certainly brought that in that particular circumstance for me, especially. Yeah.
No, beautiful, mate. Well, thank you very much, Ando, for doing a segment on your show, on your own show. So, thank you very much, mate. And we'll obviously be back with plenty more.
Is Dave Benson happy with that though? Because he's got to say, Ando's? No, oh, you can't be serious. Dave, thank you for being patient. Good on you, mate, for sponsoring us.